All right, so this is Christmas. Here we are again, folks. 2 years of the zombie apocalypse, and 'tis the season to be a zombie. Fa la 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 la. So I start my day off like I normally do. Grab myself a coffee, look at some of the fake news headlines, and then I look outside. The sun is coming up. I look outside and I see a gentleman walking by himself with a medical device strapped to his face. Okay. I mean, this is the norm. We have a beautiful um, weather outlook for the next few days. Temperatures in the morning going down to about 50, 55 degrees, which is a little chilly here for Southwest Florida. And then getting up to about 75, 76 degrees. Really beautiful weather. But yet we've got people who've been trained that the air outside when they're walking by themselves is deadly. Okay. And then of course I go out and do a few errands this morning. I jump in my car, I get to the traffic light, and the person next to me is sitting alone. And of course, they are wearing a government control device on their face. And I'm like, here we go. The whole ride. I'm looking at people. Sometimes there's one person in the car. A lot of times people will wear this device as like jewelry, like they'll let it hang from their ear, which I find to be really interesting because the whole point of it, right, is to block the airflow so you're not getting enough oxygen. But they'll wear it hanging off their ear. They'll wear it on their chin. That's another favorite of mine. It's like a chin guard or something, you know. And then, of course, I get to the store. You know, I needed some ingredients. My wife is making stuffed shells at some point, and they're going to be really tasty. So I had to get some ricotta, and walking around the store, about 70% of the store has decided to cooperate with government edicts. The store itself, by the way, has no signage or verbiage to instruct their customers as to what they're supposed to do when they walk in. At one time, they used to say things like, well, the Center for Propaganda and Control, or like I like to call it the CPC, they recommend that you wear 3 of these on your face, or that they recommend if you did the thing, then you should still wear the medical device on your face, which that's kind of where most people who are thinking critically had that needle sliding off the record experience where it goes like, okay, so I did it, right? You told me to go do it, and I still have to do this. Well, it's for the greater good. And we learned, obviously, that you can still, give this away like a free gift at Christmas. It's like, hey, I did the thing, but I still want to give this to you as a free gift. And so the only way you can mitigate that, which because it's worked so well over the last 2 years, is to put on a medical device and make sure you're wearing it the wrong way, which most people do. I'm not saying it works. I'm just saying if you were hypothetically going to look at the efficacy of this one maneuver, you would at least want to conduct your exercise appropriately and tell people, well, if you don't wear it the right way, then, it's not going to work. But you don't really hear that very much in the news. You will hear it in some of the more Karen-esque quarters of the news media when they start to give you instructions on how to mitigate this problem that, again, have worked so swimmingly over the last 2 years. You're just like, wow, let's keep doing this. So again, I'm walking around the store, and my urge, as soon as I get in the store, my urge is to get to the checkout. As soon as I get there, I want to get to the checkout. I don't want to browse. I don't want to be caught up in the moment of the shopping experience. I don't want to see any special deals. By the way, let's go, Brandon. The prices are ridiculous. Okay. Ridiculous compared to what they were 12 months ago. It's not even close. I mean, the so-called sales now are the regular price plus 20% of what it was last year. That's what the sale is. So I finally find the ricotta and a couple other things, some mozzarella, some ricotta, some flour, a couple other things, some adult beverages, because tonight I am planning on watching Die Hard as my Christmas movie. And I've done that several years in a row. And a lot of people of my age are now uniting behind that principle. I've seen It's a Wonderful Life. It's a great movie, but I don't think that life exists anymore in today's world. I think that's just a fairy tale, and that fairy tale becomes more and more far-fetched each and every day. Like, you do something that is right, and eventually karma will come around and get to the other people, and you will finally be rewarded for your goodness. And in today's world, it seems like just the opposite is rewarded. The most deviant people on the planet are now exalted, and the most decent people on the planet are ridiculed, isolated, made fun of. People who critically think, who do critical thinking, those people, they're not looked at in a positive way anymore, because those are the people that are questioning all of what the government is doing to them on a daily basis. And those people really don't have a place anymore in public discourse. They are called names. They're called anti this, anti that, skeptics, whatever, unbelievers. I mean, it's kind of, as you can see, it's kind of a religion. It's definitely the religion, I guess, of public health, but expands into other areas of thought other than health. Other issues like, oh, you don't care about the poor. You don't think we should pass a $3 trillion bill where most of the money goes to bailing out failed cities around the country that never wanted to get their books balanced because they believe in deficit spending forever. And they just believe money is a tool of the government, and the government does what it wants to do with this tool. In the end, folks, there's not a lot of hope on this Christmas. You do have the hope of the one who came to save us from this nightmare. And we hope that he does come back soon. I do, because I don't have a solution to this problem. Most people, if they're going to be honest, you look at the government, and I made mention on Twitter the other day that during a recent broadcast of the Steve Bannon War Room show, they were running an ad for colorful and decorative medical devices that you can wear on your face during the Steve Bannon show. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be watching that show anymore. I do watch it because I want to see almost like, and I'm not saying that nothing good is happening out there with that particular group of people. There are a lot of people who are trying to figure out what happened during the last election. But now we're going to be 2 years removed from that by the time it gets rolling, if it ever gets rolling. I think if it would have gotten off the ground, it would have happened much sooner, within 90 days, probably. And yes, was there a conspiracy out there to suppress this information? Absolutely. But we keep hearing these false predictions, these prophets that keep throwing out the good news, and then it turns out it never happens. You have that. So you look at the whole MAGA movement as a whole, and you think the leader of the MAGA movement just told everybody that Pfizer and Moderna and all of these amazing companies saved the planet. And it was the greatest achievement in the history of the world. That Operation Warp Speed was the greatest achievement in humanity, in human history. And so for those of you who continue to follow And I did. I've not that I followed him lockstep, but I was empathetic to some of the things, definitely. And I was apologetic. I said, you know what? He probably didn't know this. I can't use that excuse anymore. Because if you're not smart enough to appoint decent people, if you're not smart enough to see that these people are stabbing you in the back, and that's if I take them at their word, right? If they say, oh, he didn't know, he surrounded himself with people, but he didn't know. He was advised by somebody else. Then guess what? The point that a lot of people were making about the guy's ability to tangle in the arena of politics versus his ability to shoot his mouth off. All right. Yes, we appreciate that. We appreciate the shooting off of the mouth. But if you've got nothing else behind it, if you are an empty suit, right, and you have no political skills whatsoever, and you put that out there as your talking point, like, this is why you should vote for me. That's good. It sounds good, and it could be good for a while, but you know what? I want a really smart person. Smart politically, smart strategically. Like, if you want to prevent a stolen election, don't you have a legal team in place? Don't you know that there's going to be all kinds of chicanery going on? Wouldn't you assemble that legal team prior to election day? And wouldn't you have that team already placed in battleground states to monitor things, to file lawsuits, just to basically head off what's coming preemptively? If you're the smartest guy in the world playing 3D chess, look, I'm going to Monday morning quarterback on this all the time now, because now you can connect the dots. This whole thing with him and these pharmaceutical companies and touting them, the interview he did with Candace Owens, just mind-blowing, some of the stuff that he said. And if you're sitting here going, oh, 2024, Trump 2024, and I'm sitting there going, no. I mean, he should be, and where is he when it comes to the political prisoners who went to bat for him and did what he told them to do? Please come to DC. Look, I don't want to talk about January 6th in the sense that, was it an insurrection? No, it was mostly a peaceful protest, especially if you use the prior summer and the standards that the news media set. This was a largely peaceful protest, more so than the stuff happening over that last summer. So I really don't care about that. I am so uninterested. But here's where I'm interested. There are political prisoners who have not been given due process. Their constitutional rights have been violated over and over again. And really, I think what we're headed to now is just a complete sort of, abolishment. I don't want to say abolishment of the United States Constitution, but what they're doing is basically just ignoring it. They're ignoring it. It's there. Technically, it's still on the courthouse, whatever, but it's kind of gone. It's not really there. So this is what I call the time of the season, as the zombies used to sing, right? And tis the season to be a zombie. So see how that works. And the zombies continue to hope and trust in hopium, and they trust their fearless leader. And they've got their garb and they've got their gear, and they're going to continue to say Trump 2024. And I'm just going to say, nope. He should have known better to sign on with Fauci and Birx, whatever her name is, and all these so-called medical experts. And again, it's one of those things where if you look at one area, you look at another area, you look at, like, you should have never hired John Bolton. Mike Pompeo is a disaster. Jared Kushner, nepotism going on all over the place. Got to be honest there. His daughter obviously is involved to some degree. And then there's the what is it? The pièce de la résistance is Mike Pence. Mike Pence, one of the great neocons of all time, with the great election con of all time on top of it. And look, I'm not a constitutional expert in the sense that could Pence have, stopped some of the stuff that was happening? Maybe. I don't know. You had some people who said yes, some people said no. I mean, at least they were looking at the Constitution when they were thinking about it. Today, nobody's looking at the Constitution, but Pence, threw his boss under the bus. And again, you hired idiots. You hired morons. That's why I don't feel the whole need to be part of the political establishment. Like I have to worry about who to vote for anymore. Really, I could support like the Libertarian Party now and not feel guilty, because even if their candidates go nowhere, even if they get like 1% of the vote or 0.7% of the vote went to the Libertarian, I could say, yep, I voted for somebody who would have been great, but nobody noticed. It's just like when somebody says, I have a cure for this problem, and everybody ignores them and instead runs out, goes to Walgreens, goes to CVS. And I sit here and I go, but you can deal with this yourself. What are you doing? One of the things I noticed too when I went out, because I went to 2 stores today, is that in line, these 2 women were having a conversation about where you can get your Moderna, where you can go get your Pfizer, your AstraZeneca. And like, you haven't been watching the news media, because they'll let you know where they're doing this every 30 seconds. They want as many people as possible to go and do the thing. And I'm sitting there listening to the conversation, and I want to speak some truth into it. But I'm like, you know what? There's really no thwarting the zombie apocalypse. 'Tis the season to be a zombie. And here we are. So it is Christmas Eve, 2021. I'd like to wish everybody out there a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. If you don't celebrate Christmas, I wish you whatever you celebrate. Or if you don't celebrate, if you're agnostic or you're atheist, I'll even throw a bone out there to all the people who probably used to watch me and who don't watch me anymore, and friendships that I had, and maybe friendships I dissolved. I don't have any ill will toward anybody. Libertarians who are atheists or whatever, like it's just, I get into moods and I'm moody, and I tell people I'm a moody SOB. But for this Christmas Eve, let's just say this. Let's just put it all behind us. New Year is coming, and there's not much we can really put our hope in other than faith in God, which again, for the atheists, it's faith in themselves, faith in the universe. I mean, I don't know, but the point is we're all in this together, and we're all going to go down together. Was it Ben Franklin said, if we don't hang together, we're all going to hang separately. And it's coming, folks. It's coming. There's no good news around the corner until some sane people can wrestle this back from the zombies. But part of it has to do with admitting that there's a problem. And a lot of people won't even get to that point. Those people are the people that I think we've lost. And that's why I don't think there's a lot of hope. 2022, is it a dark winter? Absolutely. I mean, that's what the president told me. And once, I mean, every so often he does get it right by accident, not because he's intentionally being right, but because he knows, hey, I'm going to implement policies that create a dark winter. So enjoy your dark winter. For those of you who don't want to go along with my policies, I am going to turn up the heat even more, or turn off the heat in some cases, depending on where you live, right? So maybe, blackouts and brownouts and loss of electricity, loss of heat. Maybe those things are in store for the new year. We can only hope for a nice global warming winter so more people don't suffer. But my guess is we're probably going to have a normal, traditional winter. In any event, I still wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I will see you soon.